Gearbox is building up extreme heat as well, so I think to carry on at this point would be a bit foolish. Rather take it back, take an 9.5 penalty and see if we can get on top of the problem.
Go! On the way back from DSP and with the smell of the finish in their nostrils, Grobler and Jordan Rong slotted again. An easy thing to do in the dense African bush. Luckily, the local population helped out. But that gave Bertolt and Costain time to catch up again. They'd lost first place to the Flying Navara. Meanwhile, Cox and Tersteege had made a big surge up the leaderboard. They were up from 12th to 4th, and they were eating up the ground, and also made the patented Grobler mistake. Alberts and Hunter were next, with the Harpers pressurizing them. With the Castle Toyota looking a little disguised, Cronje and Birken next appeared. Their haul was rich as well. Up from 14th place they were. The leading Ford SP class car was in the capable hands of Rob Gurney and Graham Steinbach, and they picked up no less than 4 places and straight into the top 10. Marcus, despite having to navigate himself, was 2 places to the better, but also misjudged the road crossing. The old warhorse Schilling was ever consistent and holding station in the top 10, albeit rather gingerly. And the Sideways Waltz was performed by Mark Corbett with Sean Moore conducting. Another slightly modified vehicle was that of the Weichhelds, but they still produced a top 10 fastest time for the 460-odd Ks. The Tyco team Visser and Badenhorst were 3rd in class and in an awesome battle for line honours, with Schroeder and Huxtable leading Class E in the Ford Ranger. Another victim of the by now infamous road crossing was Hichu and Jaap de Bruin, but luckily for them, very little damage to the clock there. Reigning national champ Terence Marsh was still going along, keeping it on the road and keeping it competitive, and that big old Bat Spec 1 engine was still sounding great. Taylor and Deschelaine had consolidated after picking up 3 places, up from 19th, but leading Class B by 6 minutes, despite the stutter here. Mossaji's racecar was still looking and sounding relatively unscathed, but they'd lost 4 places down to 26th, but still 3rd in Class S. While Taylor showed a lot more speed in his second attempt at the waterhole. Matthews and Erasmus were batting along in their bat, and they were 7th in class. With the Barkhuisens well and truly stuck, Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux sped by, making sure that the Toyota had a rescuer. While the most spectacular water exit award went to Karl-Heinz Silwald in his Zarko. And eventually, the Barkhuisens did make it to safety. The BB Auto lads, the Du Plessis, were firmly ensconced in the top 20. With the Bosel outfit, Mark and Stuart Moffat right behind them. And Archie Rutherford and Craig Doubtfire were 19th in the second of the Nashua mobile cars. Arnold Du Plessis did the second movement of the sideways waltz. While Super Pave's Robert Walk wasn't far behind. The Cries were locked into second in Class B after a fine drive. But Swaziland's John Thompson and Clinton McNamara were keeping them honest, just 30 seconds behind. A rather blind-looking Nissan was being guided by Asman Sadiq, and he and co Shaikat Fazaldin were just inside the top 30. And rounding out the top 30, it was former track star Fabio Tafani with Michael Barron riding passenger. Bevan Berthold's nightmare continued. They were plagued by brake problems and could just not get going. They were fourth in the SP class, but a long way behind. And you know it's tough out there when you see Hannes Grobler reversing often. Still, the three-time winner here was back where he belonged, in the lead and enjoying a winning margin of almost 9 minutes.
Very, very good. It's unbelievable that we didn't have any problems with the car. The Nissan just ran faultless, and I must say the Navigator was #1 today.
It came from 16th to first place.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. We had a lot of dust, and where we had the dust was very rocky and rough. So we took it easy, and then when it opened a bit, we gave it thick, and we passed the guys, and we're happy to be here first tonight.
And Grobler just proved again that the Toyota Desert 1000 needs speed and a healthy dose of intelligence. Despite a flat with 30 Ks to go, the next car interview was Gary Berthold and his co Henry Costain, who clocked the fastest time for the day.
To be first here with the specials is excellent for us, and we're very excited. The route is very tight, and there's some places that you battle to get to. But we had a flat wheel as well there at the end, 30 kilometers, but we fixed it quickly. And we're here, and we're really looking forward to tomorrow. But excellent day for us. Everything went 100% right.
The Harpers also suffered a puncture, as did most of the field, but their consistency in the last 18 months has been astounding, and they were second in class and third overall. In the motorride camp, there was some happiness. Cox and Tersteger brought it home in fourth place overall. But for teammate Brandon Harkis, there was some unhappiness.
No, it's definitely not. Today was very, very frustrating. To work all your way up, and then I lost 13 places in one bad move. And never mind all the almost head-on collisions, and just this race not good for single seater. There's too many variables, too many open fields. You just have no idea where you are, and sometimes you get lost so badly that you find yourself, you don't even know where you came in from.
Well, that's the art of off-roading, and spare a thought for the crews who have to take what was a perfectly presentable vehicle some hours earlier and make it so again. The life of a Mackie on the off-road scene. Toyota's Mark Cronje, despite the damage, enjoyed his car.
Bucky was really great today. I mean, the pace was no problem. It's just we had a couple of wrong slots and we had a puncture. So it's the only reason why they managed to get past me again. And then it was just the fight all over again. So the pace is no problem. It's really just to keep it neat and tidy and try and get past the guys that, you know, that are on the road at the moment. That's my plan.
A tired-looking Cronje showing the strains of a long day in a seat in the office. While the cleaners and the mechanics went about their business, Nandis Alberts and the final day would be all about energy and approach.
Okay, now as far as tomorrow, I will treat tomorrow as just a normal 500-kilometer race, a one-day race, seeing that half of it's already gone. And lying fourth currently, I would like to think that we could end up in a podium position after the 500 kilometers tomorrow.
The Waltz King Mark Corbett in the Century Properties Nissan Hardbody could not praise his navigator Jean Moore enough.
Yeah, it was extremely rough for us. Thank God the navigator did well and we managed to pass quite a few people on our first and D on the way back, but it was a real bone shaker this afternoon. The Nissan held up, but we've really been shaken to bits inside that car.
The overall standings after the first 500 k's of racing. Grobler and Jordan back in familiar territory and looking for win number 2 of 06. A big time gap for them, but then there's only 10 minutes that covers the next 7 teams. Now that's what we call tight. Until the 2nd of June, when we bring you part 2, you keep it on the road, we'll keep it off-road.